money, it means that the stocks, the total value of the stocks on the exchange increased by 1.4 trillion naira. You might give that a thought, right, about investing on the stock exchange. But to better understand everything that happened last week and take a look at what's likely going to happen this week on the floor of the Nigerian Exchange Limited, I'm joined right now from the exchange on the phone by David Adonri. He's the Executive Vice President of High Cap Securities. Mr. Adonri, glad to have you on Broad Street Drive today. Hello, Mr. Adonri, can you hear me? Okay, so Mr. Adonri will likely join me soon to take a look at the exchange, what's happening on the stock exchange, and what we are expecting the rest of this week on the Nigerian Exchange Limited.
Stock Watch.
All right, but moving on to some other things. Last week, on Thursday, precisely, President Bola Tinubu signed 4 tax bills into law. That the Nigerian Tax Act, the Tax Administration Act, the Nigeria Revenue Service Act, and the Joint Revenue Board Act. Now, we're going to be talking about these things because that is the topic for today. And I would like to get what you think about this. But before that, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Commodities, banking, stock, energy, private equity. This is Broad Street Drive on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Retail, manufacturing, trade, forest, finance. We talk about it all on the Broad Street Drive on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
So Lagos, welcome back to the Broad Street Drive on Nigeria Info 99.3 FM. Just before the break, we're talking about the Nigerian Exchange Group, and I am joined right now from the floor of the exchange by Mr. David Adonri. He's a stockbroker and the Executive Vice Chairman of High Cap Securities. Mr. Adonri, glad to have you on the show.
Yes,
this
thank
afternoon.
you. Good afternoon, Hilary.
So how are you doing today?
Yeah, fine. Very fine indeed.
So last week we realized that 3 billion shares traded hands in more than 100,000 deals worth 102 billion naira. Tell us how trading was last week.
Yeah, last week was a very positive one for the equities market. In fact, equities appreciated by about 1.57%, keeping the bullish tempo of the market since the beginning of the month and also since the beginning of this quarter. Year to date so far, the equities market of NGX has returned about 16.7%, out of which almost 14% was done in this second quarter of the year. So it's been a bullish quarter, and last week exemplified the bullishness of the equities market. Last week, all the sectors of the market appreciated, apart from the oil and gas sector, which declined a little bit. However, today, which is the last trading day of the month, we're expecting a big rally in the market to close the month, but perhaps we are not going to witness that because the market just closed a little bit on the negative side.
Oh, today.
But by and large, it's been a wonderful trading period.
There's something we're expecting, something big we're expecting on the exchange this year. At the Afrexim Bank summit that took place last week in Abuja, Alhaji Aliko Dangote announced that there would likely be an IPO for his fertilizer company this year. What do you make of that? How would that affect the markets?
Yeah, Hillary, just last week, several members of the capital market organized a factory visit to Dangote Refinery Complex in Lekki here in Lagos. And it was an eye-opener. During that factory visit, we were able to see the various structures on ground in that premises, starting from the Dangote port itself, where the crude, is brought into the refinery, and then from there we moved into the refinery complex. We saw the fertilizer complex, we saw the petrochemicals complex, and then the refinery complex. One can safely describe those structures there as wonders of the world. Some of the wonders of the world is really very gigantic and a monumental achievement by Nigeria to have such a gigantic production facility here in Nigeria, more so in Lagos. Now, in the course of visiting the factory, we went to the fertilizer factory where they produce urea. Urea is an important and basic fertilizer, that is consumed heavily in Nigeria and all over the world. In fact, Dangote Refinery of Dangote Fertilizer, which is also in the same premises as the refinery, is probably the largest or the second largest producer of urea fertilizer in the world. We actually saw some of the vessels at the port that were loading fertilizers for export from Nigeria. So it tells you the scale of operation of that fertilizer plant there. In my personal discussion during the engagement with the management of the fertilizer production plant, I was told that it has a production capacity of 7,000 metric tons per day, which is really massive and colossal. Now, that Dangote fertilizer is the first one that will be listed on NGX this year. So Dangote has already ruled out the timetable for the listing of all those.
Okay, so there's a timetable
within that complex.
At about what time do we expect the listing of the fertilizer plants or company?
Any moment from now, Hillary, we expect Dangote fertilizer to be listed on NGX. I don't know, it's probably going to be by way of listing by introduction.
Okay.
So you mentioned that one of them is doing an IPO. Perhaps after the IPO, going to be listed by introduction. Let me personally give it a time frame of about the third quarter. That is this third quarter that we're entering from tomorrow. We are all expecting Dangote fertilizer to be listed. Then thereafter, before the end of the year, we also look forward to the listing of Dangote petrochemicals. That is another ballgame in itself. It's a massive operation that is currently dominating the production of plastic raw materials. We call them polymers. They're currently producing a polypropylene, which is extensively used for packaging of food items, drugs, and so on and so forth. So we're concentrating more on the fertilizer now because that is the low-hanging fruit that is expected to come to the market very soon and become available to the investing public to invest.
So how much do you think the listing of the fertilizer company will impact on the market capitalization of the NGX?
So that enterprise is a very gigantic enterprise.
By approximately how many percent? If you are
I know
to,
you are talking of the fertilizer.
yes.
Hillary, if you had gone to that complex, you will know that none of them is at a small scale at all.
Yeah, no,
The
I'm aware.
fertilizer is so large, both in terms of the physical occupation of the premises and its production capacity. The petrochemical is also large, the refinery large. All of them are so large beyond, it beats everybody's imagination. So when the fertilizer is listed, is going to contribute heavily to the capitalization of the Nigerian exchange. It will increase the market capitalization of the exchange massively. So that precisely is what I will tell you is going to deepen the capital market, extensively when the fertilizer is listed. Because it's perhaps the largest urea production plant in the whole world. So it's not a small operation. So it's going to be massive when listed in the equities market.
Okay, so before I let you go, thank you so much for that info. And that means Lagos, you have an opportunity to invest in this company, in the refinery plants, in refinery arm of the company, and of course the petrochemical arm, the refinery itself. Dangote Group will be listing.
Sorry, it's like I'm losing your audio.
No, it's fine.
Can you please step it up a little bit?
No, it's fine. So I was going to ask you one final question before I let you go.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, it's really been bullish on the NGX, right? And people have been making money. My first question to you, or my question to you, would be one: what is responsible for this bullish nature? Like it's something we've never seen in about a decade. And then two, some people are afraid that it might be the bull run before the bear run. What would you say to that?
Okay, yeah, I think you asked a very beautiful and a valid question, because investors can easily be misled into believing that the market is always on a bullish trend. The market is volatile. It's like a sine wave. It goes up and down. So succeeding a bull run like this will definitely be a correction. There will be a bear run for a while. But one thing I can say is that because the Nigerian capital market has been reformed, following the lessons we learned on the structure of the market before the global meltdown in 2008, so many reforms have occurred in capital markets, increasing the resilience of the market. So you can see that in this bull run started in 2023 when President Tinubu took office. It has been sustained up to now. And in the past, the bull run was sustained based on sentiment, based on the pronouncements of the president, coming in with market reforms that experts have been clamoring for several years. Now, those market reforms, together with some fiscal reforms, have started yielding some dividends. A lot of those enterprises that were depressed as a result of the collateral damage of those reforms, they have all recovered and they are all coming in with wonderful results now. So even when the results had not justified the bull run, there was a bull run. So you can then imagine what will happen in the market now that good results are coming up. So there is no justification for there to be a bull run. But the market is laden with uncertainties, Hillary. Nobody can predict the market with any degree of certainty. So even though we are basking on the euphoria of a bull run now, an external shock can come in, or a shock can come from anywhere that can temper the bull run and then lead to a correction. But so far the bull run has been sustained. Nobody can predict how much longer it will sustain. But I would say that the fundamentals of the market now and the kind of bright prospects we are seeing to the future are capable of sustaining the bullish trend in the equities market.
Thank you so much, Mr. David Adonri, the Executive Vice Chairman of HighCap Securities. It's been a pleasure having this discussion with you. Let's hope that whatever external shock is coming will not come so soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Hilary.
And that was Mr. David Adonri from the floor of the Nigerian Exchange Limited. It's been a pleasure speaking with him. And of course, you heard what he said about Dangote listing on Dangote Refinery listing on the Nigerian Exchange Limited. And when it does, hey, Lagos, I'll encourage you to take advantage of that and, of course, make some money.
The big issues.
And the big issue today are the tax bills that President Bola Tinubu signed into law last week. The Nigerian Tax Act, the Tax Administration Act, the Nigeria Revenue Service Act, and the Joint Revenue Board Act. Now, these are things that would affect you as an everyday person. I mean, you just can't run away from taxation right now. There are a lot of good in it for you, especially if you're a low-income earner. But there are other things that will ensure that you pay your taxes as and when due. Now, these bills were worked on for some time by the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, headed by the chairman, Taiwo Oyedele, who I'm hoping to bring here one of these days to talk about it. The committee was set up in 2023 and completed its work in 2024. There were debates, national debates, after the work was completed, but eventually the bill was signed into law in 2025, just last week, but it won't take effect until 2026. This bill takes effect January 1, 2026. Now, let me just list some of the things that you need to know. And Lagos, you tell me what you think about these things. First of all, there will no longer be the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS. It will be replaced. Well, not that there will no longer be. The name will be changed to the Nigeria Revenue Service because its scope of work will be expanded. At the same time, there will be a Joint Revenue Board, which will be coming up soon. Now, that Joint Revenue Board is just to ensure that the federal government is in harmony with the states, when people are taxed. It will also ensure that when you have a problem with taxation, you can go table it before this board, right? It will be there for you and for myself. In the new tax laws, you will be exempt from paying any taxes if you earn 800,000 naira or less a year. 800,000 naira is approximately 67,000 naira a month. If that is the only thing you earn a year, you will no longer pay taxes. Now, before this law, the threshold was, I think, 400,000 naira or thereabout. But now it's been increased to 800,000 naira. So if you earn 800,000 naira or less a year, you will no longer be required to pay your personal income tax. But of course, if you earn higher, you pay higher. The more you earn, the more you pay. It's a progressive system of taxation with a maximum of 25%. So people who earn a lot of money, individuals who earn about 50 million naira or so annually, will have to pay roughly 25% of what they earn in personal income tax. Now, the same grace goes to small businesses. If you're a small business owner, you're also exempt from paying your company income tax if your revenue a year is 50 million naira or less. So if in the whole year you make 50 million naira or less, you will no longer be required to pay tax on your revenue. But of course, if you make more than 50 million naira, you will have to be taxed. So, this sounds like a relief for small business owners. Of course, company income tax for medium and large companies has also been reduced from 30% to 25%, but this will take effect in 2026. Something else interesting you need to know is that value added tax will no longer be paid on what the government considers essential goods and services. These include food, your school fees, electricity, medication, hospital bills, and things that are considered essential services that indigent persons need to live and survive are now exempt from value added tax. But the value added tax remains at 7.5%. That's it. No increment on value added tax. But for you crypto bros who have been making a lot of money, the government will now start looking at you guys, because you will need to pay taxes on your crypto assets, on your NFTs, and all digital assets that you own. And the government is putting some things in place to ensure that you get to pay your taxes, right? Get to ensure that you don't need, like, you can't hide, more or less. Now, before now, most Nigerians only paid salaries on their taxes on their salaries. For those of us who have our informal employments, we are taxed, payee based on what we are paid by our employers. But right now, the government is widening the tax net. Not only widening the tax net to get more people, but also to get you to pay taxes on other things you do. So the government is not only looking at the salary that your employer pays to you, the government is also looking at other things, your side hustles. The government wants to tax your side hustles, wants to tax the money you make from, if you own a property and you get rent, the government wants to tax your rents, the government wants to tax your side hustles, wants to tax for you freelancers. The government also wants to tax the dollars that you earn from your freelance work. And there's a smart way in which the government wants to do this. So the government will be assigning to people soon. People will start getting a tax code, like a tax identification code, a number, which the government will assign to everyone. Ordinarily, you are supposed to go to your tax office in the states where you live, so here in Lagos, and get it. And even if you don't get it, the tax authorities and financial institutions are mandated to ensure that you are given a tax ID as long as you have a bank account, right? As long as you have a bank account, you're going to have a tax ID, and the government is going to monitor, of course, what goes into the account and what comes out of it, to know exactly what you earn, what you make, apart from the money that your employer pays to you. And financial institutions must submit quarterly reports to tax authorities when this new tax regime kicks off January 1, 2026. Now, banks have to report any individual whose total bank transactions reach 50 million naira in a month, right? So the banks will be mandated to do that. Now, for companies, the reporting threshold is 250 million naira. So if you run a business,
give on our teeth 24 hours protection. Use Oral-B today. The Nigerian Dental Association. Tanda Gidigba with Oral-B. Shalatam Quality Anti-Malaria contains Artemether and Lumefantrine, available in cherry-flavored dispersible tablets with very convenient dosing for kids. Shalatam is also available in tablets for adults. Knock out malaria in 3 days with Shalatam from Shalina Healthcare. If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult your doctor. Shalatam is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association.
Did you know?
Did you know?
Did you know?
Did you know? Did you know?
Did you know? Your dose of facts we bet you never knew. Right here on Nigeria Info 99.3.
Did you know that football players speak so much because exercise increases the amount of protein